Hello, magical people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Going to talk about Scorpio secrets revealed. Dun, dun, dun. I have some Scorpio secrets that I would like to reveal, and I'd like to also open up this live stream with if you have any questions for me as a Scorpio with my Pluto in Scorpio. I'm a part of the Pluto in Scorpio generation. So, want to make this a fun, interactive, social live stream where open it up to your questions. If there's ever anything that you may have wanted to ask a Scorpio, I am here. Ask away. And I've got some secrets that I'd like to reveal as well. So, thank you all so much for joining me. We are in Scorpio season, Sun in Scorpio, Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, in Aquarius, out of bounds. So let's get crazy. Let's get weird. Let's dive deep. Monica, it's your birthday. Happy, happy birthday, my Scorpio sister. Happy solar return. Wishing you an absolutely magical year ahead. Fun. So, yeah, before we get into it, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and consider leaving a comment below to help with the channel's growth. And also today, Tuesday, actually for me, it's midnight in Belgium, just past midnight, European time, but still in North America time, where I'm from, we've still got our 25% off Scorpio B-Day sale happening that Sunny from Pluto and I are doing. 25% off until midnight Eastern time on megmoonbeam.com and thescorpionshop.com on my personal astrology readings, my astrology beginners course, Age of Aquarius webinar, and of course, everything on the Scorpion shop. Just a few hours left. So go check that out. Yes, happy solar return to all our Scorplings out there. And it's a very interesting astrological sign. And maybe we can start with some of the basics of the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is the 8th sign in the zodiac, and it rules anything that has to do with secrets. Scorpio rules secrets, the hidden side of life, anything that is hidden behind the scenes, along with the sign of Pisces. And Scorpio is rules hidden and behind the scenes with the sign of Pisces, but Scorpio is more of the uncomfortable things that are hidden beyond the scenes. Uncomfortable things like death and the dying process, birth and the birthing process, which I don't mean to say that those things are bad, but for many of us, they've become, they can be uncomfortable. It hurts to give birth. It's a total unknown and kind of freaky to go through the dying process. Things like the dark arts, the dark occult, and the good occult done behind the scenes, both ruled by Scorpio. Roles like surgeons, forensic researchers, conspiracy theorists, garbage collectors, criminal law, criminals. A lot of really uncomfortable professional positions are ruled by Scorpio as well. It's anything dark and macabre, uncomfortable, our fears. It's also sex, intimacy, merging with others on the soul level. So the sign before Scorpio, of course, is Libra, where we commit in relationships. Libra rules relationships that we have with other people. And then Scorpio, the next sign, goes into how we go into the deeper level with partners. We have sex with intimate partners. We merge our assets with intimate partners. So it's the merging of resources and energy. It's hidden money. So Scorpio and Taurus, those two opposite signs, are the financial and resource access. So Scorpio is also hidden money, our taxes, inheritances, big banks, behind the scenes money, right? Our stock portfolio. And Scorpio is about power, 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 and what we do with our power. Do we use our power for good, because it is possible there are some good Scorpios out there. One of my secrets that I'm going to reveal is how there's 3 types of Scorpios. We're going to get into that. That's why they can be so different from each other. And as it's the sign that rules power, are Scorpios using that in a positive place? Are they using that in a negative, nefarious, really dark and fucked up place? So, sign of transformation, power, the hidden side of life, sex, mysteries, and much more. So, let's see if any of you guys have any questions. Tim says, is Scorpio the best sign for a spy slash covert operative? Well, yes, Tim. I actually think there's 2 signs that are the best when it comes to spies or covert operatives. And this is Scorpio, of course, and Pisces. Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. Also, is very similar to the sign of Scorpio because they both rule the hidden and the behind the scenes. So those are the 2 signs that we definitely see in people that are spies or covert operatives in their sun, moon, rising, in major placements in their chart. For sure. That is a really good question. Celestial Emma says, Meg, my hubby has the same big 3 as you. That is really cool. Wow. I don't know a lot of people that have Scorpio, Capricorn, and Taurus. So that is really, really cool. MJ in the chat. Hi, MJ says, perhaps an unhealed Scorpio lashes out on others. Yes, that's definitely the shadow side of the sign of Scorpio for sure. And let me know if you guys have any questions about Scorpio. I'll be very happy to divulge my Scorpio secrets with you all. But yes, it's very important with the sign of Scorpio to understand that there's 3 different types. And this really helps us to understand ourselves. If you yourself have a major Scorpio placement, if you know a loved one that has a major Scorpio placement, all Scorpios, because it's the sign that rules transformation and intensity and crisis and the dark night of the soul, all Scorpio, sun, moon risings, Pluto in Scorpio people, or even Mars in Scorpio people, because Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, or people that have 8th house stelliums, major aspects with Mars or Pluto, the 2 rulers, all go through very intense life events, usually near-death experiences, death as a very big theme throughout life, maybe the death of a significant person at an early age or a major challenging death throughout life, right? So death, death, death is ruled by the sign of Scorpio. So the 3 different kinds, we have our scorpion snakes, oh my God, I see I just froze. Let me fix my camera here. Sometimes when I make particular movements with my hands, it goes all out of whack. So we've got number 1 is, I'm not going to do my hand motion so that it doesn't go out again, are scorpion Scorpios, which also astrologers like myself will say snake Scorpios, scorpion slash snake Scorpios, Phoenix Scorpios, and eagle Scorpios. Okay. Now, what is the difference between scorpion slash snake Scorpios, Phoenix, and eagles? Well, there's very big differences. Okay. Scorpion slash snake Scorpios is the lower expression of the sign of Scorpio. And everybody with major Scorpio influence has gone through this process of going through the first level of the scorpion slash snake. Maybe they'll go to the Phoenix, maybe they'll go to the eagle, maybe they won't. Not every Scorpio goes into the light and goes into the eagle masterful phase. So the scorpion slash snake archetype is when Scorpios are really in their shadow side and they're really in their unhealed side. Okay. Which is scary. If you yourself have a major Scorpio placement or you know somebody that's a Scorpio in your life that's been in their unhealed, unhinged version, this is scary stuff. Okay. Because we rule the dark side of life. So when we are unhealed, we can be into really nefarious acts and addictions and sexual impulses and obsessions. It can be really, really dark. Okay. Criminality ruled by Scorpio, murderers ruled by Scorpio, black magic ruled by Scorpio. And all Scorpios have a dark fascination with these aspects. There is like a kind of a temptation, if you will, to go really deep into these subjects because we're not necessarily evil, but because our sign rules the dark side of life and intensity and going all the way deeply into a subject, we want to understand them very deeply. So when Scorpion slash snake Scorpios are in their unhealed version, this is where they can have really big, scary issues. I'll give you guys an example. When I was going through my scorpion snake phase, was in my late teens and part like 20, 21 years old. There was about a 4 or 5 year period where I was high every single day. Okay. And for anybody that thinks you can't be addicted to marijuana, you sure as hell can be. Okay. Because I was addicted to marijuana from the moment I woke up. This was from the age of 15 to about 20. So 5 years. From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, I was high. And when that started to not be enough, I started to drink a lot. I also started to do MDMA and which feels really good. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, but if you've ever done MDMA, wow, that's a really, really good feeling. Okay, I'm not saying you should do it, but just being honest that drugs for the water signs in particular, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, in particular, the Scorpios and the Pisces, because we rule like going to the depths of things and addictions and out of body experiences, that feels like heaven because the water signs rule the spiritual side of life, the spiritual realm. And if you've ever experimented with substances or drugs, you feel like you're in the spiritual realm. You can't feel your body. You can hallucinate and you feel like you're on the other side again. And for Scorpios and Pisces in particular, that can be very tempting. And a lot of us have had issues with drugs or alcohol or some sort of substance at some point, or even, porn, sex can have that effect, all kinds of different escapism. So for me personally, when I was in my scorpion snake phase, to be completely honest with you guys, much of that 5 year period, I don't even remember. I don't even remember. It sounds really messed up to say. I don't even remember all the people that I was intimate with. I don't remember very important situations. I will to this day have people say to me, "Oh, Meg, do you remember that time we did this? Or do you remember that time that you did that?" And I don't remember any of it. I was totally tuned out. And actually, when I was 19 or 20, I had a spiritual experience where basically, long story short, I was forced to stop getting high every single day. I got really severe anxiety from weed. And there was an instance that happened where I thought I was going to die. And I unpacked it with a psychic medium friend of mine. And she said something that really resonated with me, which was basically, I didn't really want to be here because of the mission that I had and how I would have to be embodied to be an astrologer and be an artist and to accomplish in this world. So I was kind of at like an exit point in my late teens where it was like a near death experience and Archangel Michael threw me back in my body. And then I developed anxiety from weed, which made me stop it. So, scary, but I'm very grateful for that experience because ever since I had that near death experience, I've never once had the impulse to get high again. It was like spiritually, the addiction was taken from me. So after that, after I was out of that scorpion scorpion snake phase, I started working at a spiritual store. I started really going into my spiritual awakening and I entered the Phoenix stage, which I think I'm still in. And the Phoenix stage of Scorpios is the second archetype above the scorpion, snake, and below the eagle, where Phoenix Scorpios, which I would say most Scorpios are in the Phoenix archetype, which is when they're consciously working on themselves. They've decided that, and this goes for sun, moon, risings, any major Scorpio placement. We'll go through this. Basically, you've decided, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to live this life. I'm going to ride this out. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to consciously work on myself through spirituality or psychotherapy or exercise. There has to be something for Scorpios that is like a therapy for being alive on Earth, which I know sounds really, really weird to say, but when you're a Scorpio, because it's the sign that rules the dark side of life, we're constantly processing our own shadow and temptations and also the shadow side of others, that people either really love that feeling of the intensity of Scorpios or they hate it and they get very triggered by it and they don't like us and they call us evil or negative. So for us, there needs to be kind of like a crutch or a therapy for Scorpios to be here. So for me personally, that's creativity, that's music, that's spirituality, that's astrology. I'm very, very grateful that as far back as I can remember, I'm a Scorpio, that I had astrology in my life for pretty much my whole life because my godmother was an astrologer. I have an aunt that's an astrologer and a professional psychic medium. I had astrologers all around me and learned from a very early age that I was a Scorpio. I had these tendencies, I had these traits, and that was always in the back of my mind. Now, so the scorpion, snake Scorpios, just to recap, are the Scorpios that are unhealed, they are unhinged, and it's scary because Scorpio, when they're upset or they're angry, one of the other secrets I want to get into, you guys, and I'm going to answer some of your questions that I see in the chat, is the Scorpio stinger is real. Okay. This isn't a trend. This isn't a funny little catchphrase. The Scorpio stinger, it's going to get you. The Scorpio stinger is real. That's why we can be dangerous when we're upset and we're in our unhealed version, because if we are upset with you, if you have betrayed us, if you have done us dirty, we have thought of every single way to get back at you and ruin your life. Okay. Which is really messed up to say, but that is a secret of Scorpio. We will fantasize, if you have betrayed us, about how to get back at you in the craziest way that you don't expect at all. And it takes a lot, even when you're at the Phoenix Scorpio stage, or even when you're at the Eagle Scorpio stage, to rein that intensity in, because we also rule, I didn't even say the word yet, extremes. Extremes. So everything for Scorpios is dialed up to 100. Wow. So if we're feeling happy, happy is like orgasmic for us. If we're feeling down, we're feeling totally depressed. We're feeling like, we don't even want to be here. And I'm not a suicidal person. I've never had suicidal ideations, but just using that as an example, like it can just feel like I'm ready to tap out. Like it can feel so intense. You're just, you know, you're done. And I'm seeing a lot of you guys, fellow Scorpio placements in the chat, are saying 100%. Yep, 100. So this is also helpful to know if you aren't necessarily a Scorpio major placement listening to this video, being aware that the Scorpio people in your life, we feel everything to an extreme. When we're happy, it's extremely happy, it's blissful, it's orgasmic. When we're upset, that stinger is real. Okay, so you don't try to mess with a Scorpio, because the Scorpio will win. And I'm not saying that egotistically. The Scorpio is the ruler of the underworld. Okay, it is the ruler of vengeance. And scorpions right? Let me just bring up a picture of a scorpion for you guys to see here. Everything in astrology is based off the actual, like, meaning of what's going on physically with the constellation, with the planet, right? So let me just bring up a picture of a scorpion so we can look at this visually, okay? A scorpion's venom is the most venomous venom. I'm probably not saying that grammatically correct. It is the most poisonous venom out of any creature. So if Scorpios are ruled by the scorpion, we are like scorpions. So if we get hurt, we have a venom that will hurt you times 1,000. Okay. And this is something, even though I'm in the Phoenix Scorpio stage, I'm being honest with you guys, secrets being revealed. I still have these feelings when I get upset or if I get betrayed or somebody hurts me, I will go into that stinger mode. And the people closest to me have to rein me back because I have thought of every single way to get back at you. And we rule secrets. We know your weaknesses. We know exactly how to sting you where it hurts the most. Which sometimes is a good thing, okay, when somebody deserves punishment, right? But also, as Scorpios go through the spiritual process, we learn about karma. We learn about, okay, the universe corrects itself, uh, as above, so below. What you give, you get. So we don't necessarily, one of the hardest things for a Scorpio, okay, is to not sting you with that stinger when you have hurt us. It is really fucking hard. Because as I said, we feel everything to 100, anger, rage to 100, and our instinct is to strike. It is to strike, which can be scary. Okay, that can be scary. And sometimes we can be a very dramatic sign. We're very dramatic, right? So even some things that might not necessarily be the biggest deal, one of the shadow aspects of Scorpio is we can take things that aren't necessarily a betrayal as a betrayal and want to sting you, right? So that can be um, a challenging side. Celestial Emma says, Meg, you'd be in the eagle stage, or has the internet got it wrong? Well, the eagle stage, I don't think a lot of people are Scorpio eagles, okay? Because if you think about it, eagle is a master animal. Eagle doesn't have venom. Eagle is the highest flying bird out of any bird. Have you guys ever seen an eagle? I've seen an eagle many times in nature, and they fly so high in the sky that spiritually they represent to us that they are the closest bird to the spiritual world. They are messengers of the divine, and they help us to see the higher perspective. Part of eagle's medicine is the spirit world, to be a messenger of the spiritual world, to be a shaman, to be a healer, and to see the higher perspective. So for a Scorpio person to be in the eagle phase is basically like a Gandalf, basically like a Professor Dumbledore. Okay. It's like uh, you are, I don't think anybody's completely healed, but it's like a monk. You have done so much healing work on yourself that you don't have that very strong feeling to do the stinger. You can see the higher perspective. You are not as tempted as to go into the shadow side of Scorpio. It's literally being a master of your power, which Most of us are not at that point, right? But some people do get to that point, and it's hard. It takes a lot of self worth, self work, rather. So, three different kinds of Scorpios. And this helps when we know Scorpios personally because it's very easy. We can figure out, okay, are they in their Scorpion archetype? Are they in their Phoenix? Or are they one of the rare ones in their Eagle, right? Heart of Josea 444, hey, says, my mom is triple Scorpio. Oh my God. And has had a terrible time of it in this lifetime. She turns 83 on November 8th. That's Sunny's birthday. Crazy. What can you tell her about triple Scorpios? Triple Scorpios have come here to process through a lot of karma, and they are some of the strongest people incarnated right now because as you said, Heart of Jose, it is not easy to be a triple Scorpio. So these are extremely powerful individuals that, again, they can use their power for good or they can use it for bad. And any Scorpio person, in particular, triple Scorpio people, need to be aware of where they're directing their energy and where they're directing their power. Okay. Because another secret about Scorpio is we manipulate the energy just by being in the room. So because we are transformers, because we are the garbage cleaners, because we are the toxic waste management, when we're in this space, everybody's shadows are getting triggered. We can see people's weaknesses even without them saying anything. And that's powerful. We can manipulate if we want to. Are we going to manipulate in a good way or are we going to manipulate in a negative way? So it's really intense. Yes, happy birthday to Sunny. Her birthday's coming up. Yay. Just looking through the comments to see if there's any other questions so far. Leslie says, my daughter is a Sag, excuse me, with Scorpio moon. She'll rip you a new one verbally before you know what hit you. Yep. That's that venom. That venom can come through physical aggression, verbal, and energetic. Sometimes we don't even have to say anything. Again, manipulation of the energy. We can intend for you to feel weird. We rule black magic. Okay, so that's where we need to be very, very careful. It can be freaky. So, three types of Scorpios. The stinger is real. The stinger is not a joke. Oh my God. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys have ever been stung by a Scorpio. Not fun. Not fun. Also, another Scorpio secret is even though we're kind of scary, okay, we can actually be really, really loving once we open up. So we are very, very loyal people, and we are a water sign after all. Okay. So we actually are really, really sensitive and mushy on the inside. And we do love really hard. We love our friends really hard, our family, our romantic partners, people in our lives. We are actually really, really loving, even though we're a little bit scary. Donna says, we can read the karma in any room. That is very, very true. Yes, Stellar Galactic Hey says, and we defend them. Yes, we will defend people to the death. And another Scorpio secret is we are survivors and we choose when we want to die. Okay. It's the sign that rules survival along with our sister sign of Aries. Excuse me, you guys, my throat's being weird today. And we can survive any situation if we so choose. And so if you're in an emergency crisis situation and you got a Scorpio major placement person there, that's actually a really, really good thing. Survivors, emergency responders, defenders, definitely. Oh, wow. Stephanie says, yes, I've healed myself from breast cancer in this 9 year. Oh my God, congratulations. That is amazing. And that is one of the other secrets that I wanted to share is Scorpio rules transformation, transmutation, and rejuvenation. So we actually can expel toxins out of our body because we're the sign that rules deep cleansing. We can expel toxins in medical astrology way easier than any of the other signs. So some of you guys may have noticed that Scorpios don't stay sick for a very long time. In my whole life, okay, I almost died of an pneumonia when I was little. I mean, everybody at some point has a really bad flu. Haven't had a flu in years and don't have any recently. But when I have been sick in life, tops, other than when I almost died from the pneumonia, tops sick for a week, usually sick for 3 days, sometimes even 1 or 2 days. So we process through illness and toxins a lot faster. And if we put our mind to it, like you just did, Stephanie, with the breast cancer, you can process through diseases. Now, any sign can do this, okay, but just generally in medical astrology, Scorpio rules regeneration. We regenerate. And another Scorpio secret is we usually look older than our physical age when we're younger. And we kind of, is the right word regress? Scorpio moves backwards in the aging process. So Scorpio people, they tend to look way older in their younger life. When I was 3 years old, I looked like I was 6 years old. And, as teenagers, they can look like they're in their 20s. In their 20s, they can look like they're in their 30s. Then once they get to 40s, 50s, it actually starts to shift where they can look younger than their physical age. It flips. So Scorpio reverses age, the only sign that reverses age. And then the signs that always look younger than their age are Geminis, Aries, Leos. Lucky duckies. Oh my God, I'm paused again. Shoot, let me fix that. Sorry, you guys, Mercury retrograde. Murdoch in the chat. Hi, Murdoch says, you have described me to a T. I'm learning to file down my stinger and not be so abrasive. Yes, Murdoch, I am the same. But you know what's interesting is sometimes it's part of our medicine as a Scorpio to get that stinger out. Okay, we do have it for a reason, right? And if somebody has been really out of line with ourselves or a loved one or a situation, it's a part of the Scorpio's medicine to, if need be, we can take that stinger out. And then the other end, the receiving end, will have to learn the hard way. Right? Wow, you got lots of Scorpios in the chat. Interesting. Mika says, hi, Meg from Utah, Scorpio. Ooh, you're a Scorpio that lives in the desert. I love it. Scorpios do very well in the desert. And I desire with all my forces that end this weekend. And I desire with all my forces. Okay. Don't really understand your comment, Mika. Maybe go further into it. Maybe I'm not reading it correctly. With Mercury pre-shadow retrograde. So are we getting the picture, you guys? It's the most intense sign in astrology. Intensity, crisis, darkness, death, sex, transformation, also jealousy. That's another shadow side. We are very we can get very jealous. We are obsessive about people that we love, people we're attracted to, crushes, absolutely obsessive, and obsessed about subjects that we are interested in, which can make us really good at subjects that we're interested in, but sometimes can be unhealthy because it's like everything we possibly think about. I have that in my life, being a professional astrologer, I'm like thinking about astrology literally all the time. And it takes me a lot to just, and my husband Jens helps me just, okay, breathe and make for relaxing time where, you don't necessarily have to be doing anything. You don't have to be thinking about astrology. So we get very, very obsessive. BCH City Angel says, "Oh my goodness, sorry, this is off topic, but what you talked about yesterday is happening. Dick Cheney passed, and now hearing of UPS flight crashes in Kentucky, destroying several buildings. Oh my God, are you serious? That's horrible. Let me check. I knew that Dick Cheney passed. Oh my God. That literally just happened. Oh no. Thank you for sharing that, BCH City Angel. Let's look at the video. Oh my God. Yep. Well, the astrology said so. Mars opposite Uranus. Plane crashes near Louisville International Airport. Cargo plane reportedly crashes after takeoff. Shit. Local police say injuries have been reported, while footage shows a large blaze. 3 crew were on board. Oh my God. RIP to those people on board and anybody affected. Very sorry to hear about that. Crazy. Crazy times, you guys. We got to be very, very careful out there. And another Scorpio secret that I want to reveal, a little bit different of a kind of Scorpio secret, is you are surrounded in this lifetime by Pluto in Scorpio generation. So, did you know that anybody born between the years, and there's specific dates, but generally between the years of 1983 to 1995 are Pluto in Scorpio generation? So if you're born between 1983, 1995, you'll have to look at your exact birth chart. You can look online for free. You probably have your Pluto in Scorpio. Pluto is the modern day ruling planet of Scorpio. So even though you may not be a Scorpio, yes, Jenny, Pluto and Scorpio gang, if you're born between those years, you likely have your Pluto in Scorpio. So you're kind of a little bit like a Scorpio. Some of you may be happy to hear that. Some of you may be unhappy to hear that, but that's the truth. So a Scorpio secret revealed ever since 1983, us crazy Pluto and Scorpio babies started to be born. So we're living in times since 1983 where there's a huge amount of the world's population is Pluto in Scorpio generation. And what does that mean that we have this whole Pluto in Scorpio generation alive? Well, Pluto has the slowest zodiac revolution out of any of the planets, of course, because it's the farthest away planet. It takes over 240 years for Pluto to go through all the signs. So I think the oldest person right now would be maybe Pluto in Cancer generation. That was like from the 2020s to the 1920s to the 1930s. There's probably Pluto in Cancer generation. There's probably not anybody Pluto in Gemini generation born right now. So we've got some Pluto in Cancers, lots of Pluto in Leos. Oh my God. The Pluto in Leos are the baby boomers when Pluto was exalted in Leo. Lots of Pluto in Virgos, 60s and the 70s. Pluto in Libra, 70s and the 80s. Pluto in Scorpio, 80s to the 90s. Pluto's in Sagittarius, 90s to the 2000s. Pluto in Capricorn, 2008 to 2024. Now the babies being born are Pluto in Aquarius generation. So the fact that we are living in times where myself and many other people are Pluto and Scorpio generation, we are, as Pluto and Scorpio generation, helping to expose, reveal, take out the trash of the dark energies that have had a hold on this planet for a very long time. Many conspiracy theorists are Pluto and Scorpio generation. We look at, the social media, and many people in my Pluto and Scorpio generation are truthers and podcasters and freedom fighters and people that are astrologers and shamans and healers. And of course, there's those things in the other Pluto generations as well, but many of them are in the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So because we have so many people incarnated with Pluto and Scorpio, it's uh, very transformational and intense times where we're going through a really big healing as a collective of humanity and the earth. Many Pluto and Scorpio people also are like sex therapists, tantricies, psychologists as well, investigators, detectives, politicians, next generation of politicians. I'm trying to think, when is JD Vance? When's his birthday? He's a Pluto and Scorpio. So we're probably going to have a Pluto and Scorpio president of the United States, probably JD Vance. That's going to be interesting. And side note, within the next couple weeks, I'm going to do a deep dive astrology reading here on my channels on Donald Trump. And it's probably going to be hours long because I'm a Scorpio and I'm crazy like that. And there's a lot to uncover with President Donald Trump. But I'm going to be very honest with you guys. And some of you guys might not like what I have to say in that Donald Trump astrology video. I think there is a very big chance that President Donald Trump might not finish his term and JD Vance becomes the president before the next election. So I won't go too into that. I'll wait till my Donald Trump astrology video. I'll talk about that in that one. But interesting, I just realized right now, JD Vance, born August 2nd, 1984, is Pluto and Scorpio generation. What's going to happen when we have a Pluto in Scorpio in the White House? Wowzers. Interesting. So, is there anything I'm missing, you guys? Does anybody have any more questions about anything? Any Scorpio questions? Stephanie says, holy guacamole, DT gonna die? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's a possibility. And I don't want that to happen, but it's a possibility, and I'm going to get into it in my Donald Trump astrology video. Julie says, oh, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. Huge plane crash in Louisville. People trapped. Oh my God, people trapped? That's horrible. I never want to be right about stuff like that. That's absolutely horrible. Prayers to anybody being affected. Oh my God. Crazy. Donna says, "So weird. I have felt that as well about President Trump and JD Vance." Mhm, mhm, mhm. This is an interesting question. A A Agenth, sorry, I might be pronouncing your name wrong. Agenth says, "How does one protect themselves from an evil Scorpio man?" Oh my god. I'm a woman who tried to have a relationship with one, and he's horribly awful. So mean, he blocked also. How to protect yourself from an evil Scorpio man? I would say close the door. An evil Scorpio man? Run for the hills, close the door, throw away the key, bury the key 10 feet in the ground, move to a different country. No, just kidding. You don't need to move to a different country. Close the energetic door. This is interesting that you're bringing this up because I was actually having this conversation with a client today about closing energetic doors. And this is something that I learned from one of my shamanic teachers is if you want to end the energetic ties with somebody, you can't talk to them. You can't speak of them. You can't be looking at their social media profiles. You need to close the energetic door completely. And it may take a few tries, okay, but you need to close the energetic door. Never allow him in your home because vampires have control over us when we let them in our home. Don't speak to him. Don't see him. Block, block, block. And um, get a restraining order if you have to. Seriously. That's something I've learned. There's a Pluto and Scorpio person, ex of mine, that I have a restraining order from that really was scary to do that, and I felt bad, but I feel for you, again, because evil or really dark Scorpio people or Pluto and Scorpio people, it's scary, and they can be stalkers, and they can be obsessive, and they can be abusive, and they can put you in really messed up situations. So, it's actually good that he blocked. You should block him and just close the energetic door. That's what I would say. Let's see here. Do, 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 do. Stephanie says, "How does a Scorpio deal with narcissists?" Especially family members. Well, my personal experience with narcissists is, and what I'm about to say, Scorpios, we are not perfect by any means. Okay. We are not angels. We are not perfect. Okay. But because Scorpios, we are so perceptive and aware of people's shadows at all time. It's a blessing and a curse. It never turns off. We can usually spot a narcissist right away. We're the sign out of any of the other signs. We can spot them right away. And we know it. We usually know it the whole time. But here's another secret about Scorpios is what's messed up about us is sometimes we like being around somebody that's fucked up because we rule crisis and the shadow side. So sometimes we can be fascinated by narcissists and actually intrigued by them and want to be around them. It sounds really weird to say, but how to deal with a narcissist? You probably knew they were a narcissist the whole time. And narcissists, I think, have entities attached to them, and that's why they're a narcissist. And we just need to block and walk away. Block narcissists are extremely, extremely toxic. And you're saying especially family members. Well, that's a little bit harder, right? Uh, clear boundaries. And I think if you're a Scorpio and you have a narcissist in your family, might be a good idea if you don't already, to maybe have a therapist, a spiritual psychotherapist. Um, I've recently gone through a situation with a narcissist, and I've been seeing my spiritual psychotherapist, and it's been extremely helpful for me. So, spiritual psychotherapy, therapy, shamanic healing, if it's something that you feel like you're having those temptations to act out and get the stinger and do crazy stuff, then talk to a professional that can help you support you through that. Let's see. Yeah, Donna, exactly. Don't give your energy to vampires. That's what they want. That's something that I've been learning is they want you to lash out. They want you to get angry. They want you to be low, right? Yes, Celestial Emma, find others who have dealt with it before. 100%. Elegant Witchery says, if evil Scorpio blocked also, do you mean blocked you? It sounds like he was done with you. Oh, you're asking the other person a question. Tamara, hi Tamara says, what what if I think I'm reading this correctly. What if the Scorpio is a narcissist? My ex was both very evil. Yes. If yes, so if there's a Scorpio person that is a narcissist, run for the hills. Block, don't fall for their bullshit because we can be very manipulative. So if you know that they're a narcissist, just block, 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 block. Murdoch says, don't stroke their ego. Exactly. The best thing is a Scorpio, and it's very, very hard, but especially if you're dealing with a narcissist, silence. Can you guys hear me when I whisper? Can you hear this right now? Silence. Go radio silent. Block, delete, silence. That's what I would suggest. Wow, a lot of you guys have had narcissists in your lives. Stephanie says, I was able to cut the cord in peace and stand up for my own well-being. Good for you, Stephanie. That's awesome. Mimi says, Meg, you look different. Maybe because it's 1 a.m. for me here in Belgium. I don't know. That might be what it is. But I felt like going live. So sorry if I look weird. Not ghosting. Not ghosting. After you've put up your boundary, when something is done, that's another thing with Scorpio. There doesn't need to be, if the relationship is done and it's complete, what do we need to see you online for? What do we need to talk to you about? Especially if somebody can't take accountability. There's nothing to talk about, right? Murdoch says, silence works for me. My boss is a narcissist. I'm so sorry, Murdoch. Yeah, silence. Don't feed into it. Totally. Don't feed into it. As hard as it is, right? Darker energies, they want to be fed. Ghosting is different. Ghosting is, what would ghosting be in astrology? That's like, ghosting is very passive. What would ghosting be? Well, the opposite of ghosting would be Aries, which is to totally like say your boundary and speak the truth, no matter how hurtful it is. So I'm going to say maybe ghosting could be a shadow side of Libra, which is the opposite sign to Aries. Just like pretending that the person isn't going to get hurt and, oh, I'm just going to ghost and never see them again. Okay, that's not really realistic. You might bump into them one day. Yeah, it's very passive aggressive ghosting. Very passive aggressive. And That's something that I have ghosted some people in the past, and I feel really, really bad about it, and then I had it happen to me, and ever since I had it happen to me, never did it again, and as uncomfortable as it is, if I need to end a relationship, if I need to speak my truth, I say it now, because even if I don't like someone anymore or wanna be around them, ghosting hurts a lot, right? Wow, a lot of you guys have narcissists in here. Crazy. Tufik Potier says, "Good evening, my dear. I'm a new subscriber to the channel and I'm already loving everything here. Good night, everyone." Thank you so much. I'm happy that you enjoy the channel. Tim says, "Is there a Chinese animal that" oh, by the way, Tim, I was watching a Dogman documentary last night and I was thinking about you. Jens and I were looking up Dogman, and I've never looked up the cryptid Dogman. That is so scary. Have you seen a Dogman, Tim? Because I've seen you comment that sometimes. Those look so terrifying. There's some really spooky stories about Dogman online. You're saying, "Is there a Chinese animal that blends best with Scorpio in combined astrology?" That's a very good question. Hmm. Let's look up what are the Chinese to Western astrology equivalents? Let's see. Because some of you guys would probably already know that each of the um, Chinese signs is aligned with each of the Western signs. So Scorpio is goat? Really? Okay, wait. No, this isn't right. This isn't right. This one is not right. That's not right. Is this one right? This one is right. This one is right. So it's interesting. For me, I'm a monkey, water monkey, which is associated with Leo. It's like the equivalent to Leo, which definitely resonates with me because I definitely, in my personal chart, I have my fifth house of Leo ruled by the sign of Leo. So I love to perform, be an artist, like be dramatic. I definitely have that Leo side. For sure. Scorpio is the pig. Interesting. So what blends well with the pig is the rabbit, which is equivalent to Pisces, and the sheep, which is equivalent to Cancer. And so Scorpio does well with other water signs as well as earth signs. Water and earth signs are compatible, and fire and air signs are compatible. So Scorpio also does well with Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, which is the roosters, snakes, and oxes. Interesting. That's a very good question, Tim. Cool. See if any of you guys have any other questions. Jody says one of the best YouTube channels that talks about dogmen is the Confessionals podcast. Freaky stuff. Okay, I'm gonna um, highlight that. Definitely gonna want to check that out. Confessionals podcast. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Confession. Am I not spelling confessional? Dogman. Yeah, and Scorpio also rules cryptids, the paranormal, mysteries, so we can love all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Dawn's Plant Joy, hello, Dawn, says, "Do bad things happen to people who cross/disrespect a Scorpio? Seems like it, kind of like karma." Do bad things happen? They definitely can. They They can for a multitude of reasons. They can if the Scorpio brings out the stinger and stings you. Scorpios also involved in a situation expose your shadow, so we may not necessarily have to do anything, but because you've involved yourself with the Scorpio, if you've been in the wrong, you may expose yourself or go through an expose. Also, Scorpio does rule manipulation of energy, so if a Scorpio is, like, intending for something bad to happen to you and obsessed about that, that's basically black magic, and if you're vulnerable to that, then some bad things could happen. So I would say yes and no, and depends on the situation for sure. Karma does exist. That's right. Murdoch, Sasquatch. Yes, Sasquatch. Okay, you guys, I'm going to finish up this live stream. I've shared some of my Scorpio secrets. I've answered some of your questions, revealed some Scorpio secrets. Hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream. And let me know in the comments if there's any questions we didn't get into, if there's any Scorpio secrets that you have as a major Scorpio placement that you want to share in the comments below. Please put those in the comments below. And love you all so, so much. I'll be live tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for our Wednesday daily astrology horoscope for Wednesday going into Friday. Today, Tuesday, November 4th, is the last day of Sunny and I's Scorpio B-Day sale, 25% off with code Scorpio25. Info is in the description box on this video on my personal astrology readings, courses, webinars, and the Scorpling shop. And I'm now fully booked into February 2026. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me in 2026, book sooner than later. Love you all so much. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.